Fantastic. Well, my privilege to be here. Do you want me just to get going, Adam, or are you going to do an intro? How does it work for you?
I'll probably intro you in. What's up, guys, as they start flowing in, and then you'll take it and run with it, man. This is kind of like your show. You could co-host it. If you need me to, I can hop in and kind of be the person you bounce stuff off of if needing. But yeah, man, we're excited to hear your story, how you got to where you're at. I will say, I was going back through and, looking for pictures. My mom was in the hospital this weekend, and I was looking for pictures. We had like a little family function and, some stuff. And I found messages in my my gallery of my iPhone. I must have took screenshots of from you and I speaking like back, man, like 2011, 2012. Do you remember speaking to me back then?
Dude, we're doing a podcast. What were we doing?
You were asking about our coaching, the ISA coaching stuff back then.
Oh yeah, that sounds right, man. Okay, now thanks for refreshing my memory, man. Dude, that was a minute, right?
Yeah, and I was like, hold on, is this the Courtney? This was over the weekend. I was going to send you screenshots of it. I'll do it after the webinar, but I thought you might find it interesting. But it just goes to show that, I mean, that was almost 8-9 years ago. You've been at this a long time is kind of what I'm getting at. And the headline is, you like, you're going to have to be excellent. You have to be outstanding, and you have to be an amazing leader to have a great team, right? Like, a great team just doesn't pop up and happen on its own. It starts with like one person influencing one other person, and then hopefully you can build a tribe off that. So how it kind of ties into my segue is like, you've been trying to figure out a better way with whether it's internet lead conversion, whether it's delivering more value to your agents, whether it's developing yourself into a better leader. And I know you're part of Top Agent Experts, but you have the same sponsor I have in EXP, right? Jeff Willems. So shout out to Jeff. And so I'm excited to kind of, kick back and take some notes. I know you've coached and done stuff with John Cheplack and been a coach, have a coaching company, you run a good sized organization. It was amazing to hear you and see you on stage in Cabo, One Big Fire down there at Brent's Mastermind. So congratulations, with your panel there with Amanda and Matt and Clayton and all those amazing people that run with Jeff and inside Top Agent Experts. But I'm going to turn it over to you, man. Like, you got a lot of history and done a lot of things. And so I'm going to kick back and take some notes just like everyone else. So I'm excited to welcome you and have you here, man. So welcome.
Oh, dude, I'm humbled to be here. I mean, I love you. I love your tribe. I love what you're about, man. So let me say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Just allow me to hang out with you and your people, man. Just being a humble Canadian, trying to do some cool shit and being recognized for it. It's a dream come true. One of the things that I wanted to share with our audience today was, what that journey's looked like. I think one of the challenges that we have as agents and even team leaders is that, I don't find that there's a whole lot of real out there. I mean, I just find that in general, people are kind of scared to tell the truth about, how ugly this journey can be, about when things got greasy, how greasy they got, and how dangerous it can be, trying to do anything in this business, especially, in tumultuous times like the times that we're in. And one of the things that I'm known for, and one of the reasons why our coaching is so highly sought after now, particularly, is that our market's been a grind for 10 years. Like, we had really 2 good years, kind of at the same time that everybody else was having the top pop off, but that was it for us. We've been in a buyer's market with a series of recessions and all kinds of nasty stuff going on since I really got into the business back in 2008. Things more or less kind of at the best got to be like balanced markets. And, truth for me, guys, was that back in about, I don't know, this would be about 6 years ago, I almost didn't make it. I'd scaled a team to like 5-6 agents. The market had shifted again, for the second time. And probably like, I think it was like 11-10 months, something like that. And my agents came to me and they were like, listen, man, we're not making, near the money we made last year. We're going to need more leads. I was on radio. I was on TV already. I was generating some PPC, had a CRM that was filling up. And man, nobody was calling these leads. And so I came back to the team the next day with the solution to their income problems, knowing that I was broke. Like, I mean, I had $3,600 in the bank. I had a $10,000 payroll due in like it was about 10 days away, and no deals closing between now and then. And so I was already out of money. I knew that I was going to have to find money to make payroll. And then I had like this problem in front of me, these 5 agents with their hands out. And so I came back the next day and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to increase our average listing commission by 1%. I'll modify the marketing plan so that you can get that, and I'll coach you on your scripts and dialogues to make that happen. We'll add a transaction fee of $500 to every buyer and seller transaction. And then these 7,000 leads that we've got in the CRM, we're going to create some accountability around managing those. And I'll do some more coaching and supporting you and getting in there and converting those, because I know there's a lot of money left in there. And that fell flat. It fell super flat. Matter of fact, they all got back to me that afternoon. They said, if you do any one of those things, we're all going to quit the team. And I thought, man, that's dangerous, because I'm already out of money. And what little bit of production we were doing was being done by me and them. I was still in production at that time. And so I sat with that for a minute and thought, man, like this is a bad place for me to be. I had to borrow $10,000 from my mother-in-law, God bless her, that she bailed me out of that and helped me get through that next 10-day period. I had a deal closing after that so I could keep my staff. And the truth was that a lot of team leaders that have been through gritty shit like this, they point fingers and they complain about entitled agents, and they complain about market conditions. They complain about lead quality. They point a lot of fingers. And, for whatever reason, I had it in me at that time to realize that I had created a team that was an exact reflection of the kind of leader that I was being. I was being someone who had a big ego. I was being someone who needed to be seen. I was being someone who needed to be the celebrity. And I was the guy that had a team so that I could win, so that I could accomplish my dreams. And I treated these people like employees, and I wasn't invested in them in the way that I was invested in myself. And those are just facts. And the truth is that was a very hard realization, but I came to it within about a week. And I realized that if I was going to stay in this team building business.
What year was that in, by chance? Just to catch the year again.
Yeah, I mean, we'll call it 2017, let's say, like not that long ago, like not even, it would be like 5-6 years ago. Yeah, brutal times, man. And I mean, you got to keep in mind too, like it was from the ego standpoint, like during that time, man, all my colleagues and friends, were crushing it. Like, everywhere I looked, everybody was making money, buying fast cars, their 15th rental property. And I was borrowing 10 grand from my mother-in-law so that I could keep my team intact, so that we could close a few extra deals so that I could just stay in business. And so, yeah, super humbling. But, fortunately, the truth was that I just realized that I needed to do a lot of work on me, that if I was going to, carry on building a team and build a team that was successful, I was going to have to approach it differently, and I was going to have to be a different guy so that I could attract different people. And the thing that I say now, and that I feel, really, really resonates with what's so important about building an effective team, is that you need to be the type of leader deserving of a great team before you can ever consider building a great team. Now, I'll give you one example. Like, I'm working with a coaching client right now, big team, there's probably 30 agents in their organization, well-known. But the truth is that there's a lack of integrity between the leadership in that organization, the commitments that have been made, and a lot of the systems in that team. And so they have high turnover. Yeah, sure, there's, lots of deals being done, and you can celebrate those things as much as you want, but there is so much of a leader's inner, struggles reflected in the things that they do, the things that they manifest, and the way that people show up in organizations, that you can't get away from it. Like, if you really hope to build a highly successful team, you can't accidentally pretend to be this one person over here and then have this kind of team over there. Like, it's a reflection. And so one of the things that I speak to right from the outset when I talk to my coaching clients from the beginning is like, listen, if you're going to do this at a super high level, it's going to be the hardest work that you've ever done. And the systems, the strategies, the protocols, the accountability, that's the easy stuff. Like, It's easy to create a change management strategy to bring 25, 35, 45, 50 agents, along to some different compensation structure, to change the CRM, to change the lead follow-up protocol. Like, that's easy. You know what's hard? Looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, you're a piece of shit. And all the trouble that's happening around you is because of the person in the mirror. Like, that is the difficult thing that a lot of people, quite frankly, aren't prepared to do. Now, I don't want to say that, I had some superpower gift. It's just that my team was small enough and there wasn't a lot else that I could point at. I mean, like, they were all treating me the same. They were 5 different people with 5 different personalities, 5 different backgrounds, acting the exact same way. You have to look in the mirror and say, well, listen, like, there's a common denominator here, and the common denominator is me. I must have trained these people. I must have taught them. I must have created this environment where this type of behavior, the treatment of me, this culture that we have, as poisonous as it was a direct reflection of how I was showing up as a leader and what I had taught them about this business, about how to be a team member. And so, for me, part of the work was truthfully was getting to grips with that first and foremost, and understanding that if I could show up as a better human being, that it would take a long time for that to happen, because no change like this occurs overnight. But I committed to it because I could understand that, listen, like, this is true, that this is happening for this reason. It's unquestionable. But it's also true that if I can address it and I can make these changes, that I'll have a better business. I'll enjoy this work more, but I'll also be a better dad, a better husband, a better friend, a better son, a better brother. Like, all of these things would be improved in my life. And so it wasn't like I was doing it for the money. It wasn't like I was just doing it for the business or so that I could succeed even. It was like, well, this is a trait that I'm carrying with me, this ego, this desire to be seen, this, like, waving the flag of production and how great I am so that I can be special, rather than asking the question, what can I do today to be of service to these people in front of me to help them achieve their goals? Like, it's a simple question. And I think too often when folks are considering, building an organization, building a team, the question that they're asking themselves is like, how do I make more money? Like, how do I get my Lamborghini? Like, what do I have to do to get this thing for me? And the truth is that it's just the wrong question. If you're asking that question, you're going to wind up in a position where either you can't build a team, you can't sustain a team, or you find it so dissatisfying and so unfulfilling that you just won't stick with it. But when you can make the shift and ask yourself the same question of agents that we do of our clients, then everything changes. And I remember this very early on in my real estate career when I was still an active agent. I remember thinking, if I always do the thing that's in the best interest of my client, I'll never have to worry about a paycheck again. Like, I just had this innate sense, whether it be from my upbringing or whatever it was, that, I would just always do the right thing, never pressure somebody into a deal that I didn't think was the right one for them. If it was the 16th offer that they were going to walk away from on a, property inspection because they felt that that was the right thing to do, I was going to support them. And I always did that, no matter how close to needing a paycheck I was. And all I needed to do as a team leader was adopt that same mentality around the people that were in front of me. It seemed very, very simple once I realized it. I just needed to ask myself different questions. The question wasn't, what can I do for Courtney? The question was, what can I do for these people that are in my life to help them achieve their goals? Because the only reason people join teams is because they see a team as a better avenue for them to accomplish their goals. They're not here for Courtney Atkinson. They may be my friend. They may like me. They may respect me. They may like my coaching. Like, sure, the systems, the support, accountability, and all that stuff. They're here because they feel that they can achieve their goals faster, more easily here than somewhere else. And so if I'm not looking at that and asking myself what ways I can improve that, then I'm not a leader deserving of a great organization. That has to be foundational. And so for any of our friends here today that are actively building a team, that are looking at building a team, considering you're in the process of it, I want you to ask yourself that question first. Before I'll do any work with a team leader in building their organization out, we go deep on this stuff. Like, I want to know where you grew up. I want to know what kind of conversations you had at the dinner table, if at all. I want to know what your parents did. I want to know what your greatest fears are. Like, I need to know you deeply as a human being. And only then can we start to unpack some of the things that might prevent us from building a great organization. Every one of us has some sort of barrier that's holding us back from the success that we're all capable of. But a lot of times it's so vulnerable and it's so scary to talk about these things that we just kind of pretend that they don't exist. You know, we create all kinds of like facades and armors and masks to carry around with us so that we're not exposed, and we'll build a team with these things in place, pretending that that stuff's not going to manifest in the organization that we're building. And I'm here to tell you it will. So we talk about this stuff first. We get deep on these things. And like I said to you, like if we're working together, we're having hard conversations like right out of the chute. Why? Well, because once we know where these challenges lie, what these vulnerabilities are, what these masks are set up to protect, then we can go deep on unpacking those things and start understanding, hey, listen, like this is a safe place first and foremost. None of us needs to build a team to defend against those things. One of the things that I want to share with you is that the people that build the best teams in our business are the folks that'll show up and fucking cry at the drop of a hat. They're just like, listen, I'm shattered today. Here's some shit that's going on in my life. I just want you guys to know. Sorry, I'm probably not at my best. Like, if you can say that to your team, you're in the right place. You've created the right environment for others to show up and do the same thing. Because imagine this, you know, you're the kind of team leader that can't own their own shit, that's really scared to be seen for who they truly are, that carries a lot of ego, a lot of armor, you know, wears a mask. Well, what kind of example are you setting for people subconsciously, right? Well, you're setting a subconscious example for folks that they can't show up vulnerably, they can't fail, they can't drop the ball, they can't do things wrong, they can't make mistakes. They have to pretend the whole time too, because that's the example that you're setting. Now, how coachable is that person going to be? How willing is that person going to be to ask themselves, hey, like, what kind of agent am I being? I wonder if there's some things that I might need to be coached on. And the answer is, they're not going to be that kind of person at all. You won't attract them to begin with. And if you do by accident, they won't stay, right? You'll have a lot of people who are exactly like you, looking around, asking themselves, what can these people do for me? And I want to tell you, one of the things that I'm most proud of about my team, you know, there's over 50 agents on it now. At the end of every single meeting, we ask the question, what can I do today to be of service to my community, to my family, and to this team? Every single time. It's built into our organization so deeply that we don't worry about people sniping deals. We don't worry about leads accidentally, you know, getting hidden from somebody. Like, there's just like this sense of like full transparency and vulnerability that if somebody's having a bad day, they can say that they're having a bad day. If somebody needs help, they can ask for help. If somebody needs a hug, they can say, I need a hug. Now, it's not to say that we're not producing a shit ton of sales. We are, but I don't want to do that in an environment where I got to pretend to be a guy that I'm not. Like, I am that guy that has breakdowns. Like, I get scared. I cry, like all these things. I have a whole spectrum of emotions just like everybody else, and probably even deeper. I have ADHD. I'm medicated for it now. Thank God. That's a cool thing. But, you know, truth is that, like, I'm a big feeling person. Like, I can't live a life where I have to pretend to be somebody else. Like, I've done that. Okay. And it fucking near bankrupted me. I don't want to do that again. I want to be a guy that can show up to work and be whole. Just bring every bit of me to this work and have other people love me for that, and have other people see that that's okay. See, here's the thing that I think very few people recognize about our industry is that the beautiful part about real estate is that you can create a very small, very, kind of a very kind of non-complex business and still have a great life. You can sell 10, 20 houses a year, depending on the market that you're in, and make a great living. Don't need an admin person. You need a cell phone, a car, access to the internet, some knowledge, all of which you can get for free by coming to hang out with Adam and all the great people that I'm sure you've heard of, folks that are in your network. What an incredible group of people that you all have access to. My gosh, just think, like, this industry allows all of us to do that. Or you can, create a crazy big business if you want. I mean, there's teams with like hundreds of agents on them, far bigger than my team, coaching businesses and, title and insurance companies and all this kind of stuff. Like, you can make this business as much as you want or as little and incomplex as you want. There's no other industry that I'm aware of that gives you so much opportunity. The beauty of this is that you get to stay in your flow, in your energy, focusing on your beautiful God-given gifts from day one to day 10,000, if that's how many days you're going to do this, 100, whatever. I don't know how many days 10,000 works out to be, but you get my point. The point is that no matter what your gift is, the market will receive that. And so on my team, I don't want people that are clones of Courtney. I want people that are deeply 100% authentic, because there's someone in our marketplace that's going to resonate with that agent who thinks that I'm crazy, who looks at me and is like, that guy's the worst. I don't ever want to talk to him. If he was my realtor, I'd fire him. If he picked up the phone, I'd hang up on him. Like, for sure. What do we want? We want agents that can come into our organization, feel safe, feel cared for, feel protected, feel educated, feel like they've got something that they can't get anywhere else, and recognize that with their unique power, whatever it is that's in them, they can bring that here. We're going to celebrate it no matter what it is. And we're going to support them in going out and building an incredible business with that. That's what I feel is missing and is super important in our industry, is leaders who can look around and say, listen, I don't need mini me's. And as a matter of fact, the less people like me, the better. All I want is authenticity. You show up with grit, determination, a work ethic, a commitment to the values of the organization. Like, that's it. So long as you're in culture in our organization and you're following basic rules, you can be anybody that you want to be. You can be the dude in the pink fedora. You can be, the person who's, whatever. It doesn't matter to us. We just want you to be authentically you. And in doing so, what you'll find is that now these people can step into their power as a representative of you and your organization, but they can step uniquely into their power and go out and find clients that are going to resonate with them. And they'll know that. They'll start to feel like, yeah, man, I understand what my vibe is now. And you want to replicate that across your organization so that people can start to feel like, listen, it's okay to be, uniquely me. I don't need to be like Courtney. I don't need to say those words exactly. I don't need to do what this dude has done or that gal has done. Like, I can be my own person doing my own thing. And if you're on a team, yeah, for sure, there's systems, there's structure, there's accountability. Like, there's all those things that are going to support the person in doing that. But to our view, we're not hampering that personality. What we're doing is eliminating all of the remaining variables that would disallow that person to step fully into their power. You see, what we want to do is have such great systems, have accountability, so that all those questions that most agents have when they're trying to be highly successful, that all just goes away. They can just step into being themselves. And when you can do that as a team leader, what you'll find is you have great retention. You have this magnetic culture where people are like, recruiting for you. Like, one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen happen in our organization, we have a dad who brought his son into the team. We have a wife who brought her husband into the team, several actually, in fact. Several partners on the team have brought their partners from outside the industry to our team because they felt so strongly about the culture, the opportunity, and how we see people and how we support people that they wanted that for them too. When you're being the kind of leader deserving of a great organization because you've done that deep, hard, personal work, you've looked in the mirror and you've called yourself out for your shit, yeah, you'll start to attract that type of organization. And those people will start to feel like it's real because you're being authentic. You're showing up the way that you're meant to show up with all the gifts and skills and hard work and, power that you've got, but not pretending to be something that you're not. Creating an environment for others to also win. And next thing you know, the sales, they just keep coming. The training, people just show up to them. The meetings, nobody's complaining about them. Like, I'll give you an example. 9 o'clock meeting in our organization every single day. If you show up at 9 o'clock, it's a $10 fine immediately. You got to be there on time. It's just a commitment. Like, hey, like I'm not, truth be told, I was 7 seconds late today. I was driving and I was a little bit late getting pulled over. I just own it. You get $10, man. Take my money. It goes to a fund anyways. It's not a big deal, but people need to see their leader falling down, making mistakes and owning them. Don't think I pretend that my shit doesn't stink. Like, when I make a mistake, I own it. Literally, the phone call that I came on before here, I was literally apologizing to my boot camp mentors. They're the ones that help us onboard new agents each month, for not delivering to them some items of value that I had promised that I would have to them last month. Like, I'm just out of integrity with them. I promised something, I didn't deliver. Do you think that I'm like pretending that that didn't happen? No, I said to them, guys, listen, I just wanted to call this meeting so I could apologize to you. I know that I'm out of integrity with you. I feel horrible about this, but I want to make another firm commitment. And I respect you for not believing it, because I've fallen down on this commitment before, but I'm saying this now, that I promise you that I'm having this thing delivered to you by Monday. I'm just owning it. I don't want people feeling like they have to show up and lie to me about their mistakes. When people are having accidents in their deals and they're crashing and they're losing a $15,000 commission check, do you think that I'm getting super angry at them? No. I'm saying things like, man, that sucks. I'm sorry that you lost that $7,500. Is there anything that you think that we can do now to save that? Like, I don't think that they need that $7,500. Here's the truth. I probably wouldn't miss it. Okay. But I know that agent that just lost this deal, that's shattering to them. Okay. And so I'm not asking myself, like, why'd you do this? Like, you've hurt me so bad, you've ruined a great lead. No, like, this is $7,500 to an agent in my team that really, really needs that for a mortgage payment, to buy their car, to put their kids to school, to take a vacation. So I'm empathetic about it. I want to know, like, what can we do right now that's going to support you? How can we make this a learning lesson so that doesn't happen for you again in the future? And when you can approach it like that and make it okay for people to make mistakes because you're vulnerable enough to be owning your own mistakes. And again, you have that culture, you have that reciprocity, you have that magnetism in your organization. You won't have to worry about that churn rate that most people have. Like, we have agents on our team that have been here like 6 years, still selling 70, 80 houses a year. And you might ask yourself, like, Court, like, when you charge 65% to your team members for taking a listing, how would you keep somebody for 7 or 8 years when they're selling 70 or 80 houses a year? And I'd say, because first of all, there's a career trajectory in our organization so that they know the opportunities that are continually outlined before them. Secondly, great culture, right? And thirdly, because we can create more opportunities for these people inside our organization than they feel they can create for themselves out, even though they're still doing 70 or 80 deals a year. Well, how? Well, because I always ask myself, what am I going to do today to deserve another day with somebody that I love that's doing 70 or 80 deals a year in my team? Like, who do I need to be to deserve that person? That's the question that I'm asking myself. When you do that, then you'll come up with very creative ways to be that person. I'll give you an example. Like, you know, when I first stumbled on this being like the question that I had to ask, the way that this would work, and knowing that if I could follow this path and be that person, that this would all shake out the way that I needed it to. I was like, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just have to give up alcohol, you know, and like, for what it's worth, like, you've heard me drop a few F-bombs. Sorry, that's just who I am. I'm from the Maritimes. That's like the eastern part of Canada, just north of Maine. Like, there's nothing out there but woods and water. So we just grew up drinking beer, telling stories. Like, that's all we did. Okay, small town guy. Like, that's where I grew up. Thanks, man. And so, you know, that's just who we were. And so, you know, for us now, like, you know, to try to be like something different than the way that I was, you know, brought up, or the person that I turned out to be, or to have my agents expect something else from me, like, it's just not going to happen, right? Totally forgot where I was going with my train of thought there. Let me ask you this question while I'm putting that together.
Well, I want you to finish it, because it's a decision that I had to make, and you heard me kind of talk about it. And Cabo was the decision that I had to make with quit drinking 16 months ago. So you were talking about you having to make a decision. So I'd like to know, what was the aha moment you were building up to it, and then how long has it been?
Yeah, it's been so listen, I still drink a little bit, but I was a binge drinker, like a big binge drinker. I grew up that way. Thanks for bailing me out there, Adam. So growing up out there, like, it'd be nothing to crush 12, 18 beer on a Friday night, and, you know, just to have a little bit of fun. And then, but I just never gave that up. Like, that's the thing. Like, and it got worse, you know, like, you know, be more beer, you know, 3 nights a week or 2 nights a week, you know. And so I started doing some math, because I remember, like, open houses when I was new in real estate. I was like, man, it's painful. Like, you know, doing an open house hungover, like, I'd be sleeping, like trying to stay out of the way of the window so that like when the doorbell rang, I could like pop right up. Like it was bad, right? And I remember one day around this time doing some math. Okay. And if y'all have never done this, and maybe you're having a few too many drinks periodically, I want you to ask yourself this question. How many days do you give away where you're not at 100%? Okay. And so for me, I looked at it this way. I was like, I just did the math. I just drew out a week and I was like, okay, if I go out and get piled up on a Saturday night, Sunday's a write-off. Like I'm no good to my kids, my wife, business, nothing. Nothing's happening Sunday. But Monday, I'm depressed, I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm ashamed, and I'm probably operating at a 3 out of 10 in my business. So I'll call that 30% on Monday. Tuesday, realistically, I'm probably 60% by Tuesday. And I'd say by Wednesday, I'm right around 90, 95%. Thursday is my first day back at 100. So I just did a weighted average, okay, for those percentages for the week. And then I just looked at how many weeks I did that a month. And I was losing like 30% of my productivity. I just looked like throughout the year, I was giving away 30% of my productivity to alcohol. And I was like, man, like, how can I lead people if I can't control this? If I'm giving away 30% of my potential to alcohol, why? So that I can be the guy that has great laughs. And listen, like, it was a part of my identity. Like I'm hilarious when I'm drinking. I'm really serious most of the time, but I'm hilarious. Like I got great stories for days. I've done some insane shit in my life. I'll only tell you about them when I'm drinking. Most of it's occurred because I've always been drinking too much. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. People like hanging out with me. They always call me to go for drinks, right? Used to, not anymore. So I was fighting my identity at that point too, don't forget. And I was asking myself, listen, like, who do you need to be to grow this business? Who do you need to be as a leader to deserve the kind of company that you're trying to build? And the answer was, I can either be the storytelling, guy that's like always having fun, always getting the phone calls, like going on golf trips, not because he's a good golfer or even likes golf, but because he makes it a lot of fun. Things always get crazy. Or do you want to be the guy that's using all those same skills to grow a really, really incredible business and helping others achieve their life dreams in ways that they couldn't without you? And I was like, okay, well, tell you what, I'll give it a shot for a year. So I did. I gave it a shot for a year. I totally went dry for a year, and I thought, man, like this is a lot different for sure. I had way more energy, way more mental clarity, way more motivation. I was just getting way more done, and I thought, okay, man, like this is working really, really well for me, and I could see that within the first couple of months. So then I just started stacking other habits on, and so habit stacking is something that I'm sure many of you have heard about before, but if you haven't tried this yet in terms of like changing your success trajectory, don't change everything at once. Like pick the easiest low hanging fruit. Like for me, I was like, listen, I love this, but not drinking is like one thing. Like I can manage like just one thing. I'm not a super complex dude. I don't like having 1,000 things on the go at one time. I'm like, I'm just not drinking. Like, and I'll just start telling people. So I did. I just started telling people I wasn't going to drink. And then the second thing I changed, I started getting up earlier. Okay. I read a couple books. I was like, yeah, they all say that, people that are balling get up earlier. So I started getting up at 6 and then 5 and then went back all the way down to 3. I finally settled at 4. I've been getting up at 4 for about 5 years now. That just works for me. Meditating, going to the gym, going through my affirmations, my gratitude practice, my visualization practice. Like I built all these habits on top of the one original habit, which was stop drinking. But each one of these other things has stayed with me. Yeah, like I had 2 drinks at a barbecue yesterday. No big deal. But I don't get hungover. Like, do you think I wanted to show up here for you folks today with half a brain? No, I wanted to be able to bring some fire and some motivation so that you can leave this call and see in yourself that, hey, listen, you can do this too. All it takes is a couple tweaks to the way that you're showing up. You ask better questions, you get better answers. And I was asking myself, well, who do I need to be to deserve this great organization that I want to build? Okay, now what do I need to do to get there? Well, give up alcohol, get up a little bit earlier, read some better books, start doing a visualization practice gratitude so that I can change my attitude and be more happy. Because that was part of it. I was a bit grumpy, right? Like just, I would often wake up in a state of scarcity, a little bit worried. That's kind of a fairly common trait of somebody with ADHD. I later learned I've only been diagnosed for like the last 7 or 8 months. But some of those things were just coping mechanisms for me that I needed to be able to show up in the morning for my team, like on fire, like ready to bring value, ready to help them have great days, ready to help inspire them to be the best version of themselves so that they could then compel buyers and sellers to want to do business with them. And so by creating that sort of infectious energy, and creating an environment of excellence, well, then, yeah, other people just started looking at me differently. And I'll be truthful with you. Every single one of those people left my organization within 12 months. And why? Well, they didn't like me anymore because I wasn't the guy that they signed up with, first and foremost, right? Now, I had created a boot camp to replace them all, so don't worry about that. The team was growing that time. But my point is that I had to let go of that identity. I had to let go of that team. I had to let go of my friend circle. I had to let go of those stories. I had to let go to the idea of continuing to build more of these stories in order to draw the line in the sand to be the guy that I am today. Was it easy? No. But once I had clarity on how to do it, and I began stacking those habits on top of one another and continually ask myself, who do I need to be to deserve this thing that I'm trying to build? And what things might I need to do to get there? Then the questions became very clear to me. And the answers, so simple to execute. Just one habit stacked on top of a habit that I've been working on for a month or two, on top of another habit that I've been working on for a year or two. And next thing you know, some time's passed, but I'm happy to say, shit, my net worth is, damn near tripled in the last 6 years. Okay. My health is dramatically better. My personal relationships are dramatically better. And the things that I was always working towards, yeah, they're all happening for sure. Right. Was I doing it all for money in the beginning? I was. Yeah, I was really selfish. I wanted it for me. And now I spend my time focused on the people around me, but just by accident, I'm making money. By accident, I'm building a business. By accident, we're growing this tremendous coaching organization. We're having a great time recruiting people at EXP. All these things are just happening, but I don't have to focus on them. I'm not laser focused on Courtney Atkinson's goals anymore, like the way that I was. I would write them down and think about them all the time. And okay, well, what am I going to do to manipulate everybody in my world today to get them to line up so they can help me achieve my dream? No. Yeah, I have an idea. I know exactly what I want to do. I know when I want to do it by. Yeah, I have goals. But you know what's more important? Looking around and asking myself, what's their goal? How am I going to help them get there today? What's this person's goal? How am I going to help them get there today? Who do I need to be to support that person? They're struggling. They're having the same challenge they had last month. And where another team leader might look at them and say, hey, they'll categorize, label, lazy or entitled or whatever. I'm asking myself, well, who do I need to be to better support that person? What type of leader do they need in order to uncover what's in them to win? Because we all have it, but we all just haven't had mentors, coaches, leaders in our lives that have invested in becoming the kind of leader that we needed them to be. And I want to be that guy. I want to be the most coachable person in every room that I go in so that I'm prepared to, on a dime, just be you know what, that's an age-old idea, thought, limiting belief that I had, and I'm shattering it right now so that I can be better for you. That's who I want to be. And point of everything that I'm saying here today, if you can adopt that level of coachability, your life is going to be improved. People will respect you more. Everything gets easier because you're not trying so hard to be this image of somebody that you thought you needed to be. You just being yourself, just the most honest, vulnerable, true version of yourself, but bringing with you a level of commitment to being the best version of yourself that you've ever done, that you've ever seen. And when you do, the dominoes, they just fall down for you. You don't even have to touch them. It's really, really powerful. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. That trajectory that I've been on, the way that you can do that as well, the habit stacking associated with it, and to give you some ideas of what those basic elements might look like. But I encourage you to ask questions. I've got lots of time here with you today. If you want to, fire some thoughts at me or, ask me specific details, happy to get into the grit with you. That was kind of, a reasonably high level approach to it.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Habit stacking, man. And it's starting, with that one habit and then not trying to work in any others, just focus on one at a time. I like that. And having that self-discipline that you were talking about to where you quit drinking for a year, you went a whole year and then you worked it in moderation, right? My personality is, it's kind of like what I said from stage from the, from the One Big Fire, one was will never, be enough, or 20 will never be enough, at the barbecue. And
Yeah.
then one is too many, you know what I mean? Like I have that addictive personality. And so it's like I had to figure out how to manage it, right? Because it's like, oh, 6 will be fine today, 12 will be fine. But really tying it to the production piece to that and the averages of you understanding that you're just showing up 70%, you know, of your like best self and losing that other 30% of efficiencies. And that 30% is really what separates the good from the great, really, you know what I mean? And it's like how you respond to things, you know, going that extra mile, like you said, you had to look at yourself in the mirror and, you know, call yourself out, right? Like quit bullshitting yourself, right?
Mhm.
Like who the hell are you? And that authenticity piece to that, and that vulnerability piece with the empathy piece is a lot more attractive than waving the numbers, than waving, you know, the volume, the units and all that stuff, because, you know, that's going to come regardless. Yeah. And wherever that marker is, it's just going to be right. But the human side of it isn't, you know, people will come and go because that same vibration that you're putting out into your team, the universe, your community, you're so right. That's like what you're going to get back, you know, to yourself. And it's like you said something where it was like, yeah, it's like, let me just focus on the people like in front of me, right? Like right here, like, let me just focus on these people and chunk it and then build off of that. Like, I love that. Like people were, you know, looking for their next recruit or looking for their next deal. Right. And it's like, just take care of the people right in front of you, and it'll be easier to tap root through those people. For anyone that's read Building an Empire, will understand that definition. And then I don't know, I wrote down a powerful line that you had said, and you won't see this from many leaders or hear this from many leaders. And I think it is so powerful. It's like, I fell out of integrity. You know, it's like, I've let you down. It's not like you're coming in with a new big promise or, you know, trying to gloss over it with an excuse. It's like, look, I fell out of integrity. I know that I fell down. I know that I let you guys down, and it's like you're actually getting in alignment and not really blaming them for judging you, right? Or categorizing you or labeling you like I don't, and it's like, you know, I don't blame you for, you know, feeling this way. I don't blame you for not wanting to give me another opportunity or to whatever it may be, for however whatever the situation was for you. And it's like, you're not trying to sidestep it or dodge it. You're like, you know, I would probably feel exactly the way you guys have felt, but even though I fell out of integrity, even though I've let you guys down before, even though I couldn't, you know, hit the watermark of the commitment of whatever XYZ it could be, let me get one more shot at this, and I'm going to give it everything I can to not fall out of that you know, spot again. And so I think I love that, you know, as a leader, because you don't hear too many leaders, they want to place blame somewhere else or have a reason why they didn't hit their marker, right?
We're in a
Because
society, like, sorry to interrupt, man, but this drives me nuts. Like, dude, all we have to do is look at like Fox News or CNN. Like, there is no truth, man. Like, politics is teaching us to be great liars and to own nothing, man. Like, there's nobody takes responsibility anymore. And so I just think, like, what a unique value proposition to be the one person who does, man. Like, I'm just going to be honest about it. Like, hey, I'm not perfect. Like, I clearly screwed this thing up. I'm not putting somebody else even partially under the bus for it. I'm going to own 100% of it. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to recommit, but I want that to be a unique experience for people in my life, man. And I'm like really surprised at what an impact that has.
yeah, yeah, it's really eliminating that ego, you know, and isolating the, you know, whatever the negative result or whatever came, but you're not placing blame on anyone else or trying to justify it. And not a lot of leaders are willing, at least, you know, I'm a young leader. I'm around a lot of outstanding veteran leaders, and then, you know, up and coming leaders, and then people that's been at this a long time myself. And I think that piece right there in terms of leadership with the authenticity piece, it is missing. I mean, it's like, you know why people love me? It's because I'm kind of like you. It's like, and not just because I dropped the F-bomb. I speak what's on my mind, but more importantly, Rob Flick said it best, even when I seen him down in Mexico again. It's good having him back in and around our events. He's like, you talk a lot. He's like, but you say things other people are not saying, but then you back it up, right? And so it's like, I'm not going to ask anybody on my team or anyone to do anything that I haven't done or not willing to currently do. Right.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, without a doubt, as a team leader, you got to speak loudly, but you have to be more bold in your actions. Right. And so I love that, hearing that from you. And so I love it. I know Tammy, runs a big team, there with Grant Johnson, and we have a few other people on here. So I don't want to eat up all your time here. And a lot of people consume this through the replay. So I appreciate you, Courtney, but I'm gonna open it up to any of you guys on here that have any questions or thoughts for Courtney. I know he's a busy man, and I don't want him to catch another $10 fine because of us. but does any one of you guys have any questions or thought for Courtney? It was amazing today.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, good to share these stories, and good to hear your stories too, man. I mean, I've loved following you, bro, and seeing you speak. And listen, man, like I think the truth for a lot of us is that, it looks a certain way from the outside, and for sure we got to have like the social media and all that stuff. But I think that the more honest we can be about the grind, about the hard stuff, the more people will feel like they too can make it through that stuff. It's not easy. Yeah. What I feel was my highest gain activity, Tammy. Okay.
Highest leverage point in your business.
Yeah. So Tammy, I was gonna ask you for a point of clarity. Now, do you mean in personal development, or do you mean in terms of business growth, let's say?
Let me see if I can unmute her. Okay. Allow to talk. Tammy, you should be able to talk now. You just got to unmute yourself.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Hey, you know what? I think it's just in the fact for the people that are on here, your highest gain activity. You know what, Courtney, when your feet hit the ground in the morning, what's your highest gain activity that you're going to accomplish that day?
Yeah, I love that. I call it my routine, Tammy, just being straight. So one of the challenges that I've always faced is that, again, like going back to ADHD, but like superpower is just like being able to work, and kind of like triage all the things all the time. And so kind of before, when I was in the mess, out of money, the truth was that I would just wake up and start working, and what I realized was that I needed to dedicate time each day to self-improvement. Like I needed to dedicate, hard ass time each day to just being, a little bit better than I was before in some capacity. And so what I learned was that, I could create like the perfect morning routine for me, which I've described some of the elements to you, like, getting hydrated and, going through a visualization, gratitude and affirmation practice, priming, stretching and cardio and lifting. And so my routine is like from 4 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. But when I walk back in the door to see my kids, like I got a 6 and an 8-year-old, I'm 47. Okay. So not exactly in the prime of my life.
You got to be on your toes.
Well, you do. And I think as parents, we do. And so I just like look at it and think, man, like at 7:30, like I couldn't have worked any harder to be a great dad. Like I'm already happy. I've got like the development out of the way. I've listened to some audio books already. Like I'm primed to be a great human being for these little guys. And then when I go to work, for sure, same thing. Like I get to be in a great position. So for me, it's like that package of things, Tammy, is like, and being able to be proud. Like, listen, I'm proud to tell you that. Like, I know that that's hard. Like, I don't like getting up at 4 a.m. I used to stay up drinking until 4 a.m. all the time, like regularly. I can't do that now because it's like literally opposite schedule. So like, I'm proud to talk. So it like gives me confidence, right? Like that it has impacted my life in so many ways. It's the singular thing that I will literally never give up.
When it comes to running a team of 50, that, and it's like, are you generating leads for these 50? And they're following your core process and all that stuff. I mean, do you look at yourself? I mean, for Gerbic and I, that done this at the highest level for a long time, we feel like we're in the marketing business, and real estate is just the byproduct of, how we're making our money. How do you view marketing that kind of ties into your business and your organization?
Yeah, I love that question. I think that, being the director of marketing is one of the very few roles that is the most difficult to leverage out of
Right.
as your team grows. I mistakenly believed early on in my career that you could leverage out of everything. And I really do think that like, if you don't, as a team leader, have your finger on the pulse of your marketing, your communication, and how like that funnel of your organization is being managed, there's a really good chance that nobody else cares as much as you do and is probably not going to do as good a job at. So yeah, that's one of the very few things that I hang on to, that we still manage, my wife and I. She and I are partners in this business. And I coach because I love that. You know, I recruit, I love that. I coach, I love that. But you know, the marketing piece, you know, yeah, we love it, but that's the thing that needs, I think, to be connected to us.
Okay, I love that. So you're still in control or influencing the message, the imagery, you know, the content for the most part. So I love that. You know, back in the days, whoever controlled the most amount of leads, IDX feeds were just coming out, a lot of exclusivity, control the business. You know, I believe whoever controls the conversion controls the business today, with the dilution of leads, and just is how leads are leads, right? Agents are looking more so for responses or appointments or conversations or Zooms or showings or whatever. And so, you know, like, what's the conversion look like with your business? Do you have ISAs? Do you have virtual assistants calling? Do you have just a prospecting team, maybe with a safety net with ISAs? Help us understand what the conversion piece looks like to your business real quick.
Love that. Yeah. So we do something kind of special in our organization. So we score each agent on 4 factors. One, their goal for the year. Okay. Second one is conversion. Okay. So when I speak to a person, do I convert them at a high level? Third thing is the maintenance of their database. So how well are they keeping on top of their leads, basically? And then the third thing is, how in culture are they? Are they positive? Are they contributor? Are they helping? We score those things quarterly out of 5. Well, really the last 4. And then presuming that, you know, 2 people, let's say, for example, have the same score out of 5, and one person is aiming to do 20 deals a year and the other person is aiming to do 40 deals per year, this person will get twice as many leads. Okay. So the business is structured in such a way that we distribute leads on a weighted average distribution schedule, and our CRM allows for that, and we have other mechanisms that we have in place to make sure that that's the case. So the leads go directly to the agent, and as much as we would love to have a 2-minute speed to lead, we don't. You know, we know it's important, but to maintain integrity and to honor our agents, the lead goes into the agent's pool. They have 10 minutes to get to the lead, and we have a relationship manager that can support them if they can't get to it in that time, or if the agent falls behind on their follow-up protocol. So we have a very specific follow-up protocol, text, emails, and calling. And so if the agent's not able to keep up on that, then the database manager can jump in and do that, and they'll receive a 10% split from the agent side. So for us, you know, that's going to be like probably $500 or something from the agent side of the deal to get that support. And so it's a disincentive to the agent to kind of, you know, letting their own leads die, to getting into the CRM, to staying on top of things, but it's not so, you know, egregious that we're disadvantaging them. We're not taking leads away from them and putting them in the pool. In addition to that, if they do fall behind, we just take them out of leads for a week, but they have the ability to ask to be taken out of leads, and they can turn themselves back on at any time. So our agents are really accountable. They're in the CRM daily. They know if they're caught up or falling behind, and they'll simply ask, hey, like, can you turn me off today? I'm just falling behind. Yeah, no big deal. We'll turn you back on whenever you ask for a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. And so that keeps everybody in there kind of like paying attention to their leads, to their CRM, and to the opportunities, the commitments that we've made to our community. Like, we're telling people that we do this. We're telling our sellers that if we generate an inquiry, a buyer lead on their listing, that this is our protocol. Like, we can't very well say that to a selling client and then not have a system that's holding people accountable to it. And furthermore, and I think one of the most important pieces that I can share here that so many team leaders lose track of is that, you know, if I don't have a system that protects agents from putting each other out of integrity, then everything will fall apart. And here's what I mean. You know, if I'm having a meeting with 50 agents and our 10 or 15 staff, whatever it is, I need to have a system that person over there is never going to look at this person over here and say, there's a chance that person could have taken a lead and let it die with them that I could have had. Like, that's just not going to happen in my organization. But all too often, I think, you know, we have speed to lead. So, a lot of teams will have like, it's just like, go claim a lead and it's yours. Well, truthfully, that disadvantages your really busy agents because they're already on appointments. They can't grab leads as fast. And the people that are grabbing them, a lot of times don't have great follow-up, or a lot of times don't have great conversion. So they're quick to claim, but do they have a follow-up protocol? And so the other agents on the team are looking at this person like, well, yeah, great that you're fast, but are you good? And you as a team leader don't have an answer for that. So these are the things that we need to be thinking about to stay in integrity with our agents, to make sure that, hey, listen, we've created an environment where everybody knows what the playing field is. Everybody knows what the rules are, and we hold people to account so that we can feel that there's trust in the system, right? Really important.
Okay. So I like that. So Tammy, to kind of take a step back, the highest and best use of his time is kind of what he's still holding on to, or not kind of, without a doubt. It's the messaging to the community and the marketing piece, which I love that, because a lot of people, those two things, people try to leverage as quick as possible. But to me, those are the last two things you should let go of. And so you're still holding on to the marketing piece. Now, the conversion piece, I like that you've built in some flexibility where you have some conversion help if they need to use it with some client care services, or you called it, what did you call it again? Sorry.
We call it a bunch of different things. Technically, it's called a relationship manager position, but CRM manager, sales manager, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. So I like that. The thing is, when we had to go to a flat, we'll just say commission structure across the board, and we found we'll just say this relationship manager person and the agent became adversaries to each other. So I love that you've compartmentalized it where the agents are not in competition with each other. But have you found that, and I know you're in a higher sales price than us in Wichita, Kansas, and so $500 is like a lot here. I mean, our average sales price is 200. It's been about 180, 150, but and that's crazy. You probably can't even get a doghouse up there in Canada for that. But do you find that they ever become competition over the $500, or do they truly have the left hand and right hand working together for the client's best interest?
Yeah, I don't want to say that there's never been animosity around that. When we first introduced this, and the way that we work it is like, hey, listen, if they engage, if the relationship manager engages, sets an appointment and adds their tag in there, the agent can't take the tag off, right? And so sometimes they don't get in there for a day or two, and they see the tag and they realize they've just maybe lost 10% on this lead. It was just a matter of communicating, well, listen, no offense, but there's a really good chance that was going to get away from you. These people were active. You didn't call them. They were calling 5 other agents and you weren't calling them. So 10% off of nothing is nothing. You're getting 10% off of something now because of some work that somebody's done to support you. We should be saying thank you. And so just this concept of gratitude and understanding that the system's not meant to punish anyone. The system is meant to support agents in accomplishing their goals. And when they can start seeing it that way, and it's truly built out to do that, they appreciate it. So that has dissipated in that time.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up with this. I know we're right at the top of the hour. I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate your insight and your willingness to show up and be vulnerable today and share what's working for you guys and what you had to go through to get to having a deserving, team that's great. And it goes back to, it's not about necessarily that client care manager or the agent. It's about the brand promise that you actually had made to the community that you had spoke on a few minutes ago. And whatever that takes is whatever it's going to take and whatever is necessary. So you're, delivering the quality of service that your buyers or your buyer agents and your seller agents can execute on, whether it's giving up 10% here or there, and actually being thankful for that safety net to where you guys can deliver on that time and time again. So you can then hopefully get repeat and referral business by having raving fans. And so that's what I'm hearing you say, right? And then everybody's bought into that culture.
100%, man. Yeah.
All right, Courtney, man. Well, let me know if I can do anything for your group. If if I could, hop on and do anything for you and the law of reciprocity, man. I appreciate it, man.
I'll be calling you, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, hit me up, man. I do. I probably spoke the most out of the alphas last year, and then besides Tina Call, me and her, even though you're tied back, to us through Jeff, but without a doubt, I'm open to that, and I appreciate you, and I'm thankful. Jeff was able to get you into this. into this network. And how can people find you, man? If with the replay, where you at, Instagram, YouTube, like how do people follow you? And let's leave it with your handle.
Mostly just on Facebook. So Courtney Atkinson, it's spelled right on my screen. So you can just look me up on Facebook. Same thing on Instagram. You'll find me there as well. Yeah.
All right, guys, make it a great day. Just do it. Later, Courtney.
Take care now. Cheers.
Yep.